Hello, everybody. Welcome to another fantasy football tournament series, number 39. This is the Losers Cup. I know that's a harsh name, but these are for teams that missed out on World Cup qualification. It's an idea that was even floated around, that the U.S. was floating around to invite teams that missed out on the 2018 World Cup, and it would be hosted in the United States if it were to happen. So this tournament, I decided to make it come true and have the U.S. host it. I have a 16-team tournament with sides from all six confederations, and my host nation is the United States. And putting bias aside, even objectively speaking, I think the U.S. would do well in this tournament, and I think because of the added motivation of trying to prove that they belong in the World Cup, but also because of the fact that I could see a lot of teams here sending youth squads and experimental teams to the tournament. Maybe they don't take it very seriously, as the U.S. and a few other teams would. So I think that would help the U.S. in that regard. So let's jump right in. My host nation is the U.S. And in Group A, we have USA, Uzbekistan, the Republic of Ireland, and Ecuador. In Group B, we have Chile, the Ivory Coast, similar flag to Ireland, but the colors are the other way around, Trinidad and Tobago, and Wales. Group C is Italy, Honduras, Cameroon, and Syria. And Group D is the Netherlands, Paraguay, New Zealand, and Ghana. So let's jump right in. Group A with the USA, Uzbekistan, Republic of Ireland, and Ecuador. Like I said, the U.S. hosting on home soil. We tend to do very good on tournaments on home soil. The Copa America Centenario being a good example of it, getting to the semifinals with the best teams of the Americas. I do think we would go through, because I think we would field our best lineup for this tournament, because our players, a lot of them would have a lot to prove. Also bringing through a lot of young players through the under-20s, as well as the USA is in a transition year. So I think we would advance. And I think the Republic of Ireland and Ecuador would mostly be fighting it out for that second spot. I think we would win the group. I don't think it's, outlandish to think that we would win this group. I think we're the best team in this group. Ecuador completely collapsed in World Cup qualifying, losing all 6 of their last games. Plus, we beat Ecuador in the Copa America Centenario. We usually beat them when we play them in friendlies. I think we kind of have their number at the moment. So I think second would be Republic of Ireland, another good team, very defensively astute. They did a respectable in the Euros in 2016. I thought they were really unlucky against Denmark in the European playoff round of qualifying. They scored first. They could have qualified. They really could have qualified. But Denmark just had too much individual quality and overtook them. But in this group, I have the USA and the Republic of Ireland advancing. Group B, Chile, Ivory Coast, Trinidad, Tobago, and Wales. Chile, the 2-time Copa America champions, should win this group. They should top it. And then second should be between the Ivory Coast and Wales. I'm tempted to go with Wales here, but I want to spice it up a bit. I want to add a little bit of a, not so much of a curveball, because I don't think Wales and the Ivory Coast are that far apart of each other in quality. Ivory Coast, very, very much a shell of their former selves, and Wales, of course, were Euro 2016 semifinalists, but they disappointingly did not qualify for the World Cup, and I feel like maybe against a more physical side that's also more individually talented like the Ivory Coast, still, even though their golden generation is on the way out, I want to give it to Ivory Coast to come in second. So Chile and Ivory Coast go through. Group C, Italy, Honduras, Cameroon, and Syria. Italy will win this group. I mean, the Italians should. They just have too much. And presumably they will have a different manager that is not Gianpiero Ventura. And then the battle for second, Honduras are a physical side to play against. They're really, really annoying to play against in CONCACAF. Cameroon are the current African champions, but they did not qualify. And Syria came very close in the playoff against Australia. They would have played Honduras if they had gotten past the Aussies, and I think they would have qualified. So Syria seems to be a very decent, one of the most improved teams in West Asia, and they could make a serious case to qualify for Qatar 2022. I'm going with Italy and Syria to get through this, actually. And then in Group D, the Netherlands, Paraguay, New Zealand, and Ghana. This is a difficult group. I could see New Zealand being one of those teams, in addition to the U.S., who actually plays their heart out here and sends their best squad, because how often does New Zealand get the opportunity to participate in international tournaments? Not very often. Ghana still is a very good, decent squad. They had a really disappointing qualifying season when they lost out to my Egyptian team. And then Netherlands and Paraguay. Paraguay, they pretty much bottled qualification in the end. They should have beaten Venezuela at home, and they could very well have gotten at least a playoff spot. They could be in this World Cup, but they're not. And then the Netherlands, they're in a rebuilding phase, but they're still a very decent side. I'm going to go with a slight curveball here. I'm going to go with Paraguay to win the group. And I'm going with the Netherlands to come in second. I think Paraguay would take the tournament more seriously. And this is same Paraguay side that beat Argentina in qualifying, that almost beat Brazil. They beat Colombia away from home. This is a really serious team. So I'm going with Paraguay to win the group, and I'm going with Holland to come in second. So let's move on to the quarterfinals. Quarterfinals, USA versus the Ivory Coast, Italy versus the Netherlands. You thought that was going to be my final, didn't you? Nope. Chile versus the Republic of Ireland, and Paraguay versus Syria. So in the first match, USA versus the Ivory Coast. Like I said, Ivory Coast, they did well getting to this point. They're withering away with their golden generation, but still a team that is decent, but I feel like we can beat the Ivory Coast. I mean, we're playing at home. I think we can beat them. I mean, I don't see anything controversial with that. There's also a question of whether or not Ivory Coast would send their best lineup to this tournament. So yeah, I think the U.S. would win this. Italy versus the Netherlands, what could have been the final. In my World Cup fantasy football prediction of teams that just narrowly missed out on the tournament, I had these two teams meeting in the quarterfinals, and I had the Netherlands going through to the semifinals, and then they eventually finished runners-up. This time I'm going with Italy to get revenge and to get to the semifinal. Chile versus the Republic of Ireland. I just think Chile's too... I think they're a very high-attacking, high-pressing flair side, and I think Ireland would struggle here, especially with their speed. I think it'd be a big problem for Ireland. And then Paraguay versus Syria. This is the match that has the potential to go either way, but I've got Paraguay winning in extra time against a really valiant effort from the Syrians. In the semifinals, I have the USA versus Italy, and I have Chile versus Paraguay. It's the end of the road here for the U.S. Italy is just a much better team, and even though Italy may come into this tournament reluctantly, they will not want to lose to the U.S. I mean, they want to prove why not making it to the World Cup was a fluke, so Italy would win this match and get to the final. And then Chile versus Paraguay. big South American derby here. I'm going to go with Chile to win this game. And then the match for third place, USA versus Paraguay, playing another South American team. Just like in the Copa America Centenario third-placed match, USA and Paraguay. Our record against Paraguay is fairly decent. We actually did beat them in the Copa America Centenario. We played them in a friendly recently, I believe, and we beat them 1-0. I think we, well, who has to lose more from this, the U.S. or Paraguay? I think the U.S. has more to lose, and they're playing at home, and I'm going to give it to us. So I have Paraguay coming in fourth in the Losers' Cup. I have the U.S. coming in third. And then the final is Italy versus Chile. And if you thought Italy struggled with Sweden, they would really struggle with Chile here. I just think Italy's in a funk at the moment. Chile, I really don't know how they didn't qualify. They have a bigger excuse because they came from the toughest qualifying region in the world, but Italy kind of doesn't have an excuse because, no disrespect to Sweden, but from my recent memory, this is the worst Sweden team of the 21st century, and they should have gotten through that playoffs. I mean, nobody on the Swedish team really stands out as like a prolific goal scorer. And in Chile, Italy would come up against three really prolific goal scorers in Alexis Sanchez, Arturo Vidal, Charles Aranguiz. And Chile has a good habit of getting to finals, and they've won 2 of the last 3 finals they've reached. They should have won the Confederations Cup, in all honesty, against the German C team. So I'm going with Chile to win this. Chile will win the World Cup Losers' Cup. Italy will come in second. So yeah, Chile win, Italy in second, USA in third, Paraguay in fourth. Leave a comment below, like, subscribe. Hopefully I see you tomorrow, God willing. Till then, have a good one. Much love. And as always, peace out.